Hi study buddies! So today's video is about studying effectively for finals. It's coming down to the wire and finals week is coming in a few days, so I thought I would do a little video to help you find ways of studying better and more effectively so you can get the grades you want. I've been in so many situations where finals make or break my grade, so I've learned how to prepare for them and prepare for them well. So without a further ado, let's begin. First off is notes. This part is the most time consuming out of the whole studying process. For classes like math and chemistry, notes are extremely important to go over so you can remember the concepts you were taught 3 months ago. So spend a few hours flipping through your notebook and have a separate piece of paper out to jot down concepts, formulas, and chapters that you think are important. Another thing you can do is to look up your test scores and really try to focus on your weaknesses. So for example, if you got an A+ on derivatives but you got a C on integrals, you should probably focus more on integrals. So use your time wisely. If you already know how to do something extremely well, don't spend too much time on it. Allocate that time on topics that actually need it. Number 2, I'm gonna go over how to study guides effectively. If your teacher gives you a study guide, that's the most valuable thing you can use to get a high score on the final. Usually science teachers and history teachers prefer to give out study guides, and they come in many different forms. Sometimes it's just a bunch of vocabulary words and events, other times it's fill in the blank. I've even seen study guides that are just pages of questions and topics. So before we get into specific topics, make sure you work on your study guides for a period of time for around 3 to 7 days. Not just the day before the exam, because study guides are only useful if you actually study them. So I'm going to go over how I review and prepare for finals in the 4 main subject categories: science, math, English, and history. First off is history and science. Even though the two subjects are quite different from each other, they're both information based, so usually the study guides for those classes look extremely similar. What I like to do is to take out 2 highlighters and 2 pens. The first time going over everything, I just highlight and make extra notes on important information and secondary information. I also like to have a piece of paper out to just jot down anything that was confusing so I can ask my friends to explain it to me later on. After I finish the second time around, I like to test myself. If I'm 100% sure I already know the concept and it's embedded into my brain, I check mark it and move on. If I don't get it, I spend some time memorizing the information and move on. The third time around, I only study the concepts that I didn't checkmark yet. After doing this over and over, it's a for sure way of memorizing everything in the study guide. If the study guide is all questions like my math and chemistry study guide, what I like to do is to try to finish everything on my own, and if I don't know how to do a problem, I'll highlight it and ask my teacher or a friend to explain it to me later on. For math subjects, it's all about practicing, because if you practice enough, you'll remember how to do similar questions and concepts that are going to be on the final. If I have extra time, I'll go over previous homework assignments, but usually the final study guide will be enough to do well on the exam. But there are many ways of effectively studying study guides. That's just how I like to do it. Third, Quizlet has saved me so many times, especially for information-based classes. That's where you should head for last-minute reviewing. What I like to do the day before the final is to go on Quizlet and just search up chapters and different topics and review over the terms and definitions. Usually you can search up something like AP Biology Semester 1 Final, and there will be like Quizlets with over 50 terms. Especially for classes like biology where everything is about information, using flashcards is essential. So the last thing I want to go over is textbooks. I don't recommend studying your entire textbook because that's just borderline crazy. There's just way too little time to go over everything you've learned in the semester, but your textbook is extremely valuable. So if you don't understand a certain topic, go back into your book and learn it. Another thing you can do is to just study the chapter reviews that are at the end of each chapter. So to recap, make sure you study the study guides. That's the most important thing you can do. Go over your notes, go over your textbook if you have the chance to. Make sure you go over those chapter reviews because those are pretty important. And also for last minute studying, make sure you go to Quizlet or any of those flashcard websites and just review over those terms. That's everything I have for you today. Just remember that if you tried your best, that's the best you can do. So yeah, don't put yourself down if you don't get the grade you want. Just remember that there's many more opportunities in the future.